Hello, my name is Dena and this video is for my translation studies assignment. So right now, I'm going to talk about the assessment of machine translation. The object for my study is a story titled The Way of Dian Digi Duagi by Trasi Sorel and the translation of the same story in Bahasa Indonesia from machine translator Google Translate without any editing. I want to find out about the shift, loss, and error in the translation, and also how accurate the translation produced by Google Translate is. For method, I put both texts side by side on spreadsheets, so it's easy for me to compare the both of them. And then I identified the shift, loss, and error in the translation. After that, I did an assessment quality using Macaulif's translation quality assessment theory. Actually, in this theory, there are 3 stages. The first stage is the functional assessment, whether the overall impressions of the general purpose of the writing is deviated from the source text or not. And then the second stage is the aspects and criteria. The third stage is talking about the final assessments, whether it is good or bad. And I only used the third stage because I already identified the loss, shift, and error in the translation as the second stage. Now, error in translations, I only found 2 of them. The first one is either of those, and then Google Translate translated as keduanya. Meanwhile, either of those doesn't mean both. And then the second error is a phrase trafficking of our people, and Google Translate translated as perdagangan manusia. However, trafficking of our people is not talking about the general, human trafficking, but it is more specific. That is, our people in the story means the native people. So it is specific human trafficking of the native people. For loss, I found some of them. For example, walk with honor, and Google Translate translated as berjalan dengan penuh kehormatan. Actually, I put it as lost because walk with honor is more like the way of life, right? I mean, we live our life with honor, but it translated as a literal translation, that is berjalan dengan penuh kehormatan. Although it lost the nuance, but it's still acceptable. And then the second example is repeated attempts, translated as berbagai upaya. I put it as lost because berbagai upaya is more like the varieties, kinds of something like that. It loses the feeling of repeated and then continuously. And the third example is the phrase in a family, in a clan, in a community, and in a nation, translated as dalam keluarga, klan, komunitas, dan bangsa. I put it in lost because I feel like it lost the emphasis. I mean, in a family, in a clan, in a community, it's like emphasizing each one of them, but in Bahasa Indonesia, it became dalam keluarga, klan, komunitas, and bangsa. It's lost the feeling of the emphasis to something like that. For shifts, I found a lot of them, like structural shifts, unit shifts, class shifts, and even intra-system shifts. However, there are actually some shifts that I took a notice. For example, the structural shifts where in Bahasa Indonesia translation, the word yang, adding the word yang. I took a notice of them because there are several of them in the translated one. For example, this is a sentence. tetapi hanya mereka yang berasal dari bangsa asli yang telah tinggal di sini sejak zaman dahulu kala yang memiliki identitas hukum sebagai warga negara ganda dari suku mereka dan Amerika Serikat. There are 3 words of young, but actually in English it's the young is actually only that legal identity, yang memiliki identitas hukum. And then also the word orang. I took a notice of them. For example, everyone is translated as setiap orang. Some, it's only some. Like for example, some will envy your lineage. It is translated as beberapa orang. And then another one is others, orang lain. That is adding the word orang in there. And then another is plural to singular, like for example, measures of success is translated as ukuran keberhasilan. That is plural to singular. And then achievements, prestasi, mascots, mascot, products and produk, adults, orang dewasa. That is plural to singular. Based on the findings, I did an assessment. I calculated the scores from the 29 data. There are 8 almost perfect, 4 very good, 9 of good, fair is 6 data, and then bad is 2 data. And I calculate them, and then the overall assessments of the text are in 69.69, that is within good or C. Translation. Although there are some error, losses of nuance and shifts, the overall text is still readable and could be understood, and the accuracy is pretty good. However, I recommend you guys to use Google Translate to check twice or to proofread to make sure the accuracy and more correct translations. Thank you very much.